Now, we want to talk about this in today's Money Talks. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not alone. We know more, or about 2/3 of Americans say they're struggling to make ends meet, which is why we want to talk to local financial professional John Vandergriff from Blue Ridge Wealth Planners, and he's here with ways to help you live more comfortably. Thanks for coming in, John.
Yeah, for sure.
So talk a little bit about why so many people are living paycheck to paycheck, especially right now.
Well, and as we've heard through this year, inflation is at record highs that we've not seen really since the early 80s. And so when you compare that to a lot of what we experienced during COVID, where a lot of demand had dropped, it seems like that ramped up rather quickly. And even though when we look across the country, wages are going up. Typically, those are annual increases, but we're having month-over-month inflation increases.
Okay.
Luckily, that decreased a little bit, but a little bit is relative. So still seeing things that are very expensive compared to where they've been in the past.
And living paycheck to paycheck, while it might just seem like a weekly thing, this does impact your future as well.
Yeah, because, you know, if you've got any kind of emergencies, you don't have that buffer there, which could lead to high interest credit card debt. And then that creates really a bad situation for you on the short term and long term. But if you are in that paycheck to paycheck situation, you're not able to put monies away for your future. It may be falling behind the 8 ball when it comes to preparing for a future retirement, you know, somewhere in the future. So
it's that struggle to get ahead. So one of the questions is, what are some things people can do to get ahead and get more financially comfortable or secure?
So we've got to make sure that we have a good idea of where our money is going, because if we don't watch it, it's very easy for it to leak out in places. You know, Amazon almost makes it where you only have to click once to buy something.
Very easy.
Yeah, very easy to do. So you want to create a budget. You want to know where those things are and try to be able to cut expenses in some areas where you've got flexibility. You know, we've even mentioned at times before, you know, call your internet providers, your cell phone providers. Sometimes you may have a little bit of wiggle room, but you don't know until you ask. So try to find some ways to cut those type of expenses that seem fixed, but also some things that, you know, if you go to the grocery store, try to go when you're not hungry, because obviously that's the way that increases.
You want all the
those
snacks
costs
when you're hungry, yeah.
But you want to be able to track those and cut those expenses, and then try to set some goals for budgeting. Say, you know, if we can cut $25 of eating out on a weekly basis, that may seem small, but it starts to add up over time. And so, you know, it's amazing what we can do, because we are all creatures of habit. We will live typically within the means that we create ourselves to have. So we want to make sure that those are things that are doable today with the increased cost, but maybe putting more money in some areas that we weren't noticing those costs going up as rapidly.
Gotcha. Okay, so setting some goals and being stricter for a little bit. And one thing that I know a lot of people are starting to have conversations about is, hey, maybe I need to ask for a raise. You know, those can be awkward conversations. How can people approach those?
Well, and again, as we look at this, we know that across the nation, we are seeing wage increase. So it could be one where, you know, if you've not had that annual meeting with your employer where they do discuss that, typically that happens at the beginning of the year, but a lot's happened since January. So I always give the recommendation, if you're going to ask for a raise, make sure you do some research, see what your job position is paying and see if you're in line with that, because if you're not, you know, you may have some room. And again, the more information you can have, the better, because what you don't want to do is just say, I need more money, and then you give your employer the ability to really investigate your job performance. And if you're not earning and really justifying a raise, then that may create more problems than it's worth having. So you want to be able to look at that, maybe mark some ways that you have, you know, increased some things for the company. But also, I would give this advice: when we look at our country, S&P 500 companies are having one of their most profitable years at a time where the market is down. That's not necessarily translating to small businesses. So sometimes the effects that we're feeling from inflation, smaller businesses may be feeling as well. So if a company doesn't offer you that raise, it may not be because of job performance. It may just be their margins are a little tighter than they've gotten used to as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of factors to look out here. And again, we have more information on this online at WATE.com, including when it might be time to look at a side hustle. So head there for that. We're going to be right back after this quick break.